Hello, hello. Okay. This message is to and for my highly sensitive woman. I'm calling all my sensitive girlies to the front. Come on in. All right. To the woman who had to grow up fast, to firstborn daughters, to mothers. This message is going to be to the woman who learned to be strong because no one taught you, or no one taught you how to hold yourself. No one taught you how to be held, which is important. We're going to get into it. We're going to talk about the mother wound today. All right. The mother wound is and lives in the body as survival. It also lives in the body as hyper independence, emotional suppression, and we're going to get into emotions again. It also renders in the body as people pleasing, and it holds the fear of receiving. Okay, so you reject help or the notion of asking for help. This is a mother wound, and many of us have this wound. It's all about transmuting this wound. It's about seeing it for what it is and changing it around, right? Alchemizing this wound. We're going to talk about it. So it lives in the womb, okay? We're talking about the womb space as tension, as restriction. If your womb feels like it denies penetration, not only physically, but energetically, spiritually, energetically, you cannot receive, right? The penetration of love, joy. It could be anything. And there's friction there, and there's a boundary there where you don't want to allow pleasure into your womb. That's a mother wound. Okay, so you're very guarded. Because of the mother wound, you are very guarded. Everything is blocked. Everything is tight. There's a tight hold on all of it. In particular, your womb. There is also a disconnection with you being soft or feeling comfortable and safe enough to be soft. And for many of us, it's passed down through generations, period. By way of the mother's womb, right? Your mother's womb. Your mother was also in your grandmother's womb before and you were in your mother's womb. It's a whole chain of interconnection. Okay. And that's why it's something that's been passed down through generations. It's actually literally because you were in your mother's womb while your mother was in your grandmother's womb, and your grandmother was in your great grandmother's womb. And so whatever happened to your great grandmother, okay, happened to you. It had already manifested within you because you were already in these wombs being prepared, right, to be birthed in a sense. So it's by way of epigenetics, okay, and you've got to look that up and research it when you start to get into womb work. But it is something that pertains to DNA and cellular compositions, where it's happening through cellular, right, connections, and that never That's a never-ending chain. That is a connection, right? When it comes to the cells hold memories, the memories of the past, the memories of our foremothers and their wombs and their womb imprints, and whatever happened to them while they were carrying, and while they were while they were not only carrying, but they were pregnant with you and with your mother and with grandmother and great grandmother. Excuse me. I'm going to speak about emotional healing and the emotional healing of the feminine collective, and how our deepest transformation does not always begin in the mind, but it begins in the body, in the womb, in the heart, and in the dream realm, in the dream state. And we're going to talk about it like I've been speaking about it in my last videos. Dreaming is where the feminine and the feminine collective will begin to heal. This is the place where, if we shut down in the 3D realm, if we're moving at a slow pace, if the ancestors and our spirit guides want to help push us further, if our higher self wants to help push us further, if we're calling it in and praying and asking, right? Not begging, but commanding change in our lives, but yet we are having some trouble in the 3D realm, it's going to happen in the dream state. This is where the feminine heals. So I share how my own healing shifted when I realized that my dreams were delivering what I call, right, what I call feminine wealth codes, which are technically energetic instructions on how to move, right? Where to go. So these are energetic instructions through my dreams, and I call them feminine wealth codes. And it's not about money. I'm going to talk about it. This is where this is how I become. I become a new person from these instructions while I sleep, from these codes while I sleep. The subconscious mind, it's about the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind receives these symbols through dreams. Okay, so you got to write down your dreams, honey. When you wake up in the morning and you just had a really like potent, intense dream, just get your notepad or notebook or journal book and have it close to you so you can report or record these dreams. And then later on, you can decode it, but you need to at least write it down. So this is about remembering your dreams. Dream recall. Now, where am I talking about? Okay, so symbols. There's symbols like symbols of the elements: earth, air, fire, water. And something in you, something in me changes at a cellular level as it pertains to these elements. And elements are indeed it's the way that the world moves and changes and shakes and unravels and all the things, right? Without elements, there is no universe. We are made up of the elements. So this is really potent to understand and know that when you are dreaming of elements, and elements will be symbols, will be in your dreams, right? It may be fire. And if you dream of fire or dream of heat in your while you are dreaming, if you're dreaming of these elements, then you may be dreaming of, movement. You may be dreaming of expression if you're dreaming of fire. So when it comes to the elements, again, that was an example, right? Of, for instance, fire or heat. If you're dreaming of these elements, there's got to be something in your life that requires energy, that requires the feeling of bringing forth that feeling of aliveness. Okay. But if you dream of water, you need to soften. You need to soften your anxiety. You need to bring down your cortisol levels, right? You could be highly stressed for no reason. Stressed because you're carrying so much. Well, we're going to connect this to the mother womb. You're not allowing yourself to rest. You need water. You need water, right? You need to flow more. Get back into your flow. If you dream of the earth, or if you dream of food, right, then you're dreaming, that's technically earth. You have to connect the symbols. Then you could be dreaming of being grounded in your body so that you can have that power when you wake up, that in the 3D realm, in the real world, when you wake up, so you can have that power, that inner power, where you feel like your feet is touching the ground and you know who you are. Okay. So anyway, okay. With that being said, with these changes that happened to me during my dream, I was able to wake up and speak differently. I was able to wake up and speak up for myself and have more courage. It's like I gained courage overnight through the dream realm, through the dream space. And the courage was not necessarily superficial, not at all. I've been had that, right? But it was more internal emotional strength, right? There's a lot of emotions that we go through as women, and we have to be able to move these emotions, right? Get them in and out. They have to go in and out of the body. They can't just stay lingering in the body, in the heart space, and making you anxious, causing all this confusion within your body. Okay, it has to be circulated out. Okay, if it goes in and out, and whatever you don't need anymore, it has to go. And so a lot of that happens in the dream state. Okay, so this is how the feminine transforms quietly, internally. It doesn't happen very loudly, but it happens secretly. That's the thing about the feminine. The feminine truly is a very secretive being, because most of the things that's happening in her world is happening in her inner world. And that's one thing that the patriarchy is afraid of. And that's one of the reasons why the patriarchy, why societal constructs, as it pertains to men, why they try to control the feminine, because they don't know about, they don't understand, they don't get to render or experience what we experience in the dream in the dream realm. They can have dreams, they have access to it if they want, but they're very cut off from it. And who knows, we can get into that, but really it is the void that we have within our womb space. It's that empty space that we hold that can create chaos, that can create joy, that can create, who knows, right? They don't know. No one really knows, especially when it comes to men. They don't know what we can create. They don't know what we are going to create. They don't know. And so this is something that we have to keep in mind, that the feminine is naturally an internal being. Things happen on the inside for her, and then she can take this outwardly, right, and bring it out because of her being one and being with these internal happenings, thoughts, creations. She has to be able to sit with these things for a while before she brings it out into creation, right? She has to nurture the void. She has to nurture the things that are happening on the inside, the shadows, the things that are, because they do have to be birthed eventually, but this is it, right? So just think about that. And the mother wound, the mother wound cannot be healed only through logic and discussion and talking and talk therapy. It actually is something that has to be healed through feeling safe and through feeling soft and allowing yourself to feel. And a big part of women and the feminine collective, feeling soft is to feel your emotions, right? Feeling your emotions is a very vulnerable task, or it's a very vulnerable experience. And to do that means that you have to soften and you have to be kind to yourself and give yourself grace. And that can be really hard, especially if you weren't held as a child, or were taught to hold yourself, to nurture yourself through emotions. Okay, so what else? The mother wound cannot be healed through logic. It has to be healed through emotional, we just talked about it, regulation, through emotional permission, we just talked about it. So again, allowing yourself to sit with your emotions and not being afraid of them, and not distracting yourself from your emotions when it's time to feel, not getting on the phone and not going to grab something to eat either. Because that's called emotionally eating. That's emotional eating. Okay, and so you have to be able to literally, nothing else matters. When that emotion hits your heart, nothing else matters. Because the thing about the heart space, I created this little chart. I don't know if I could show you all this little human right here. Okay, with my little, the thing about the heart space is that this is a human right here. Let's see if we can. Okay. No, I can't see y'all. I drew something up. See that little human right here? Yo, I don't want to change the camera. Okay. Now you can see real quick. Heart. This is the heart of the woman. This is the womb of the woman. The heart is much smaller, especially energetically. The heart cannot take too much pain. The heart cannot take too much grief and sadness. So what does the heart do? The heart moves all that energy down to the void, down to the womb space. The womb space is huge. That's why you can bring forth a child. Okay? Your child could weigh 10 pounds in that womb space. And your womb is still, your uterus will still be able to birth it out of birth it and send it through the birth canal. Okay, the womb, the void. That's why it's called the void. That's why men are jealous, right? Because they're jealous of the unknown. They're also jealous of the fact that you have this space where you can constantly recreate yourself, rebrand yourself. Okay, but again, the heart cannot take all that pain. The heart will always send down most of that gunk that you're keeping in your body, those emotions you don't want to process. She gonna send it down. She gonna send it down to the womb. Okay. So, what are we talking about? This is important to know. This is important to know because Why is this important? Okay. This is important because your emotions, again, I've explained in my last few videos, need a place to land. Okay. Your emotions need a home. Okay. It's almost like if your emotions was a child, which technically it is, your emotions need to be nurtured. If your emotions is a child, is a baby, doesn't your baby need you when she's crying? Or maybe she's so happy and laughing, so she wants to show you that she's happy. So the baby needs to come here, right? And be nurtured. The baby needs a place to rest, a place to land. Okay? The baby cannot just be all over all day, dilly-dallying and all the things. No, baby needs to come home. And home for the baby is the breast, right? The breast is the home. And or in your arms, right? That's the home. She needs a place to land, especially when baby is sad, right? Or baby is crying. When baby is feeling all these different emotions, baby needs to be nurtured and baby needs to come somewhere, right? So that she can be nurtured. She needs a place to land. So think of your emotions like a baby. Where are you going to sit when your emotions come? Where are you going to, where is your mind going to be thinking of? It can't be all, like I said, dilly-dallying. All these emotions is coming up and you're running away from yourself and you're going to speak to people and you need to sit with yourself. You need to nurture your emotions. That's one of the things that the Feminine Collective has to work on. The feminine must work on emotional regulation, emotional empowerment. That is how we're going to win. That is how you win in life. When you can control your emotions, you can begin to make decisions for your life that will affect long-term, affect you positively long-term. Okay, so now that I speak of a place to land, your emotions need a place to be witnessed, okay, without being judged. And again, this is what children appreciate and desire. They don't want to be judged for crying per se. They don't want to be judged at the moment while they're experiencing all this emotion. They just want to be held and nurtured. Give them a tap on the back. That is how you should be viewing emotional wealth. Nurturing your emotions. Okay, now, water. Let's talk about water. Water has been one of my greatest teachers. And whenever I forget about water, that's when everything goes downhill. Especially with me because I'm a water child. And yeah, I've got a lot of water in my astrological chart. But water holds without demanding. Okay? Again, here's another example. I have a bowl. This bowl is full of water. This bowl represents the ocean. If I'm crying, tears falling into this bowl, right? The water, right? The ocean. If I go into the ocean and I'm crying, my tears become one with the ocean. That means the ocean is holding me. That means the ocean is holding my tears. Okay, and that means I'm being witnessed. That's really what we want to be seen. We want to be seen. Humans want to be seen. The feminine wants to be seen. That's what she's here for. So water receives without rejecting. The ocean cannot reject you. Okay? And our tears are not weakness. They're offerings. Our crying is not a breakdown or a breakthrough necessarily. It's not collapse, but it's release. Okay? Crying is release. And I'm going to share something with y'all. I think for when my mother passed away at the age of 3, 4, 5, I think we're going on 4 years now. When my mother passed at the age of 32, I actually didn't realize how much or how cold I was, meaning I most likely my body was rendered cold all throughout my adulthood. And this is why I started doing womb work too, because I had cold womb syndrome, cold hands, cold feet, everything cold. Like when you're not warm, you're going to most likely render some friction and stagnancy when it comes to crying and tears as well. Okay. What I'm saying is that I suffered, right, or experienced. I didn't know that I was suffering, but I was experiencing the lack of being able to, or I was experiencing the lack of emotional freedom and emotional awareness because I didn't cry for years. I had stopped crying. I think I was a young girl, and I used to cry for movies like Set It Off. Just any movie. It don't matter what movie it was, but Set It Off, I remember off the top of my head, used to make me cry. You know, day after day, whatever that song. What? I used to be bawling, but I would cover my face or whatever. Like, so that was me. Very scared to cry. Very afraid to show that side of me, that vulnerable side of me, because I knew that I was going to be judged for being a crybaby. Okay, because I was bullied and judged for it. Anywho, and it probably started as a young child. Stop crying. You know, these kind of things affect us, okay, as children. So these are mother wounds, okay? When your mother tells you not to cry, or when she doesn't comfort you when you're crying, nor does your father. Maybe, you know, maybe no one does, okay? So again, if you are a woman that struggles to stand up for yourself, to speak your truth, to feel emotionally safe, like how I did when I was a young girl, and all the way up until when I turned like 32, then that's when, I was like bawling out, crazy. But also I did go on a journey, a psilocybin journey, and that broke me. But before that too, the death of my mother broke me into pieces in a sense, or it helped me to release all of the pent up energy that was stagnant within me. Although I was doing womb work prior to that for years, I still was more on the masculine side. I was still doing. I was very in my doing. But to be is to cry. To be is to just yourself is the offering. I am the offering. My tears are the offering. My emotions are the offering. My womb is the offering. But just by my womb existing, it's an offering. Not by giving it. Okay? I am the offering. You are the offering. This is how the feminine collective heals. So again, if you struggle to stand up for yourself, to speak your truth, to feel emotionally safe, to be vulnerable in your relationships, your subconscious, your subconscious mind may already be preparing for a new identity. Okay. But this is happening in your sleep, or this should be happening in your sleep at this point, because a lot of the work can't be done in the 3D. Okay. It has to be done in the spiritual realm. The dream state is where your old self dissolves, and your new self is coded into your nervous system. Okay? And this is 100% true, y'all. It's crazy how much I have changed overnight. Especially, of course, with the collective and the year that we were in energetically, collectively, the year 9, and all the things, right? In the year of the snake, meaning the shedding. So I had to shed literally the old identity, the identity of feeling as though, I can't make a decision, right? When it's all about my choices. I have to just, right? So with that being said, I forgot what I wanted to talk about. I also wanted to mention the mother wound and why it lives in the womb. We spoke about the void and the empty space. Okay. The womb is not a bin for trash necessarily, although her digestive organs surround the womb, right? They're wrapped around the womb. Okay. Yes. But again, it's not a place for storage of trash. Okay, it's a place of alchemy. It's a place of giving birth to or releasing. Okay, and that's by way of the menstrual cycle. Every month you release. Even when you don't want to, right? Even if you got a bad habit, bad habits gotta go, right? Because it's going to force you. See, that's the thing about the woman. She can always rebrand herself, recreate herself, rebirth herself because of her womb. Her womb literally does this on its own. Okay. So even when you deny change, change will come upon you by way via the womb space. So again, we spoke about that, right? And then I wanted to talk about how the mother wound shows up, right? Because we do need to know this. The mother wound shows up through the fear, right, of resting, and then so much so where, okay, now you're sleep deprived. Okay, because you don't sleep well. You're always thinking, right? You don't feel safe in your body. The mother wound also comes up as feeling unseen, okay? Feeling unseen and unmet emotionally. That's a big one, because a lot of times is that you're going to have to be the one to see yourself emotionally. You're going to have to be the one to see yourself emotionally. Not only that, but also be with yourself emotionally. When those emotions arrive, you really have to conquer and master your emotions as a feminine, as a woman. You show up also, the mother wound is showing up strong all the time. when you feel so weak, you feel like, oh, I just want to just be free. I just want to cry. And when you release, I want to scream. The mother wound also shows up as difficulty receiving and difficulty receiving support. You deny support, or you always feel as though you have to give. It's like here, take this. Oh, you gave me that? Oh, here, take this. Oh, I have this. Do you want this? That's a mother wound, and it's one of the worst wounds ever, or one of the worst ways that it shows up, that you don't know how to receive. It's very magnetic for a woman to say thank you for a compliment and not feel like she got to give that compliment back. Okay? And not feel as though she has to say something. That thank you is a full sentence, baby. Another way that the mother wound shows up is tension, right? Tension, it could be anywhere. It could be your jaws, okay? It could be right up in here, especially the throat chakra, not speaking up for yourself, not speaking in general, not feeling comfortable speaking from your heart when it comes to matters of the heart, not the thing about the throat, right? It's interconnected with the womb. It's actually almost identical. The actual throat within here is actually an upside. I'm saying actually, but it is visually an upside down version of the womb. When you see it together, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's interconnected. Okay, so if you have a lot of energetic womb power and you have practiced and mastered the energy of harnessing the energy of your womb space, then that means you've also done the work up in here and you know how to speak. But there can be an imbalance, okay? Just because you know how to speak about such things here does not necessarily mean everything down here is good, okay? But it is interconnected. Okay, so we got to make sure we keep in that balance, speaking up for ourselves constantly, because the world will try you. Okay, especially as women, the world will try you because, naturally, because of the conditioning, societal constructs, people naturally think that women are ignorant and, dumb. Okay, so you do have to practice speaking up for yourself. Another way that it shows up is by clenching, and the tension in your womb space too. So not only here, but in your womb. Oof. A lot of times right here, you'll feel a lot of clenching if you are in fear, if you are anxious, if you are living with a lot of shame. There's a lot of tightness in that womb space. Okay. Over functioning as well, caretaking, and then being in survival mode. So those are the ways that the mother wound shows up. So yeah, this conversation was about the mother wound. It was about the dream realm and the dream state and healing the mother wounds through the dream state, and also about water. Okay, and how spiritual water is, yes, and how water can hold you. So I had a dream recently about orcas, and I was in the water, of course, because orcas. I was in the water, and I was in a boat. The boat was filled with water and orcas. That's all I know, right? I'll go deep. I'm not going to go deep into the dream, but orcas represent the matriarch. Orcas represent communication and leadership. And so that is something that has been calling upon me. Leadership. And also so many things to decode that happened in that dream. Very powerful, potent messages. But that's the thing. Now I can bring this to the 3D and then teach about it. That was my calling. That was the purpose of the dream. Okay, so that's mastery. Emotional mastery. Lastly, I want to talk about what feminine wealth codes really are. Basically, when I spoke about the elements earth, air, fire, water, we clarified how those are the elements that you're going to experience by way of the dream state in the dream realm, and healing or how you're going to become a new woman through decoding your dreams. Okay. And if you don't even remember your dreams, it lands, but it takes longer, right? You still get the codes, but when you can decode that dream recall is a very magical, mystical, feminine, so potent. Like, so definitely remembering your dreams. It's a part of the mastery of yourself. It's a secret. It's like a little secret, way to see where you're going next. It's very important for you as a woman to know where you're going. Okay. Now, briefly and lastly, what I want to talk about is how we absorbed our mother's pain, or not only pain, but how we absorbed our mother's nervous system by inheriting DNA codes of her survival patterns. Okay. What I mean by that, again, is because I was talking about all the things today, is we inherited her DNA codes via her womb, via also her while she was carrying us. Okay, while she was pregnant and holding the the um the baby, or the creation. That's what I want to call it, because before it's a baby, it's a creation. She's holding this creation. She's literally sending signals. Her body is sending signals, codes, via the nervous system. Okay, and when it comes to the nervous system, that has to do with electricity. Okay, and all these electrical currents and things, all from the mind. Everything in her mind is going down into her heart, right? Passing through her heart and then going down to the womb. Okay. And all of that is information. She's sending you all the information. She's like, oh, let me send them this, let me send them this, let me send. And it's all subconscious. It's not like she's doing it on purpose, right? So if she was being abused while she was pregnant, or if she experienced a lack of nurture while she was pregnant, her nervous system was going into flight or fight, or her nervous system was experiencing anxiety, anxiousness. All right. And so all of that information is going, and all of that coding is what you're going to receive. It's going to move down, all the way down to the heart, pass through the heart, and go down to the womb space. Okay. So that's what I want y'all to know and understand, how deep it goes as it pertains to mother wounds. It's a nervous system rewiring that you're going to have to do. And that shit's crazy. Every day I'm still working on it. Okay. Specifically in little bits and pieces daily. I take my deep breaths when something happens where that causes my cortisol to spike. I have to evaluate and assess it. But before I even evaluate and assess it, I have to get calm quickly. Okay. The quicker you master getting calm after somebody piss you off, this is how you begin to recode your nervous system. Okay. So wounds that pass through emotional lineage is something that is how our is something that as it pertains to how we absorbed our mother's, again, information. Okay, there were wounds of your mother that have, again, passed through emotional lineage. So what are we talking about? Emotional lineage. Who was your lineage? Who's your ancestors? Right? Who are your foremothers? Whatever your foremother experienced. I can't specifically remember that far. All I know is my grandmother's story. So you're going to have to get your grandmother's story. Okay, you're going to have to get your grandmother's story and understand what happened to her when she was carrying your mother, when she was in your mother's womb. And I have, we'll talk about this in a few, but that's emotional lineage. That's important to understand the dominant emotional experience or experiences of your ancestors, of your foremothers. And we're just talking about the mother wound, so that's why I'm saying foremothers. But again, your grandfather and all that stuff, that matters too. But I know from my end that there's lots of anxiousness that was carried through my bloodline. Okay, and that anxiousness caused the desire of perfection in the women of my bloodline. See? Okay, you're gonna have to figure these things out when it comes to where you come from, so that you can know where to go. Okay, so you can know that you ain't gotta be perfect no more. It ends with you. The trauma ends with you. Okay, so you're gonna have to say, how can I release the conception of wanting to always be perfect? You're gonna have to see in your life the way that's gonna be, like how that's gonna work out. And it might be to let shit burn. It might be to let all the things just crash and burn, right? Let things just fall apart. Let it all fall apart. Just let it be. It's gonna be hard because you're very controlling, right? It's a possibility that you're very controlling because of your bloodline. I would say yes, that's me. Maybe something else has experienced, maybe something else is for you, right? It might not be you control too much, right? But I that's definitely me, my mother, and most likely her mother. Were probably very, very controlling women, trying to control their lives. And it's like, you can't, or trying to control people, you're trying to force people to love them. That's controlling, right? It's very feminine, and it's very if you want to be magnetic, then you want to release your control of others. Okay, you want to let things be. That is a very magnetic woman. The dream world equals the place where the mother line is rewritten energetically. Okay. And we spoke about this. This is how you heal mother wounds, okay, in the dream world. But this is, again, the place where the mother line, okay, the mother lineage, there can be it's rewritten, or the possibility of being rewritten energetically. All right, so that happens to the dream space. All right. So, thank you. This video is an invite. It's an invite back to you being soft. It's an invite for you to it's an invite for you to feel safe in your body. This discussion is about you having emotional freedom, emotional sovereignty. What is emotional? What is emotional sovereignty? What is emotional freedom? It's emotional self-regulation, emotional awareness, being aware of who you are, what triggers you emotionally, being not only aware, but also having emotional healing practices. So this video is about you returning back to the version of you that never needed to be hardened to survive. All right, you didn't need that. Okay. You should have been allowed to be soft. You should have been allowed to feel safe crying and not bullied for crying and not called a crybaby and not called sensitive. This is for my sensitive souls. This is for the women that are sensitive and know that it's okay that you are sensitive, and know that it's okay that you feel everything and that you read everything and that you see everything. This is for the empathic woman that can take on the burdens and the emotional pains of others unwillingly because she's so soft, because she understands emotions. Okay, but you still need a safe place to land. You still need to be held. If that support is available for you, you would literally melt in this space. Okay, so this is for that woman. You'd be like, oh, finally, I get to cry. I get to wail. I get to release. It's a blessing. It's a beautiful experience. You get an immense amount of, you feel an immense amount of gratitude when you can express your emotions freely and understand that it has a nice place to land, right? So this is for the feminine collective. You are allowed to rest, you are allowed to receive, and you are allowed to feel without apologizing, especially. Okay? So what I want to share with you all is back to Basin. Okay, it's not a workshop. It's deeper than a workshop. It's not a course. It's deeper than a course. Back to Basin, a womb and water initiation is a guide, right? It's a guide to come back to who you were originally before someone told you that you weren't allowed to cry, that you were too sensitive. All right. This is about emotional regulation, and even deeper than emotional regulation, this is about emotional empowerment, because that's where women are failing. We've got to bring our power back to us. Emotional awareness is key. It's the key to power if you really want power. So again, back to Basin. It is technically a workshop, yes, but it's deeper than that as well, because it's a guide. It's a guide for you, again, as the soft being that you are, that has been hardened by the world or been taught to be hard and to be strong. This is that space, that safe space for you to feel vulnerable without being judged. Back to Basin, a womb and water initiation is the workshop for you if this message resonated. And the link is in my bio. Leave a comment or leave a comment or message me. I say leave a comment if you have any questions, because I'll answer right under the video. Okay, y'all. I'm over here like time for bed. Really want to do my nails tonight, but I'm tired. Really do hope that this resonated, and I will see you soon. I will speak to you soon and all the things. I'm gonna come through with another banger, because this right here is really what the feminine collective needs, especially if this resonated, especially if you are that sensitive soul and it's just like, like I need it. I'm like, right? And you don't know what you need, but this is what you need, right? This is what you needed. All right. So we'll resume. Okay. But again, if you have any questions about this class, about this workshop, just hit me in the chat or leave a message. Preferably just write it in here underneath the video and I will respond. Okay, if you have any more questions about it. But definitely sign up, and we will be starting this workshop in January. The date is in the link in my bio. All right.